Hello, Damon. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Michelle. Glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, if you could please introduce yourself to our audience, share a little bit about you and your business and what you do on a day-to-day.
Sure. So, again, my name is Damon Duncan. I'm a bankruptcy attorney. We've got several different offices across North Carolina. So, we've got five different offices throughout North Carolina. And so, I'm a board certified specialist in consumer bankruptcy and have been doing that for pretty close to 15 years now.
Awesome. And you also are an adjunct professor, correct?
I am. I teach law firm management at Elon University School of Law. And so, I'm an adjunct professor over there teaching a course over there.
Nice. Awesome. So, could you share a little bit about what it's been like working with me? Just we've been working together for when I looking back on all the data, it's a full 3 years, which is awesome. And this is when you were working with Terry, who's now retired, but now you've taken over his office. But could you share a little bit about what type of results you were getting before working with me, and also what type of results you've been getting like post just when we started working together?
Yeah, for sure. So, like you mentioned, we whenever I started the practice or joined the practice, my father is a bankruptcy attorney as well. We opened a different geographic location than he did. But whenever I started practicing, I knew that I didn't want to do kind of the traditional marketing and advertising. We weren't going to do the yellow pages and
Yeah.
phone and stuff like that. And so we really started making more of a push into online marketing. And I knew enough to be dangerous. So I had done a lot of research and learned about search engine optimization and pay-per-click marketing and things along those lines. And eventually, business got to the point where luckily I had to get rid of some of that stuff. And so we had hired a guy to do our pay-per-click marketing for us. And it was okay. Like I knew I did it a little bit on my own. So I knew a little bit about it, like I said, but then we had this guy do it. But a lot of the times I would ask questions and the answers I would get to questions weren't always great. It was
Hmm.
always, let me look into it and get back to you. And I was probably asking more questions than his typical clients were just because I was interested in this stuff as well. But over time, we saw that our results kind of plateaued and kind of even started tapering off a little bit. And the more kind of digging I did into that, we realized very quickly that this gentleman just kind of basically set up the campaigns and then was a set it and forget it kind of thing. Like he never did kind of the regular work, making sure that things were improving and testing, A/B testing, things along those lines. So when we realized that, we decided to head in a different direction. That's when I found you, and you do all those things, and so that's a great thing. We've been very very pleased over the last 3 years, as you've mentioned, and it's we've seen the results of doing the small things, doing the constant maintenance in our pay-per-click marketing, so that way we can continue to see those improvements.
Awesome. And also, you looking at the data here, it looks like now we're averaging around 200 leads per month over the last 6 months. And if you were to tell me, like from the top of your head, what's your typical close rate when you're speaking to these leads? What would you say that is on average?
Yeah, so whenever we talk to folks, most of the time, if somebody has gone and clicked on the pay-per-click ads, they've gone to the landing page where they see the information about us, and then they contact us, then what we have found is they have been a good lead for bankruptcy leads,
Hmm.
right? So in other words, they're likely going to file a bankruptcy. We then would do a consultation with those folks. Out of the folks that we talk to, I'd say 95% of those folks end up signing a contract with us, hiring us to do the bankruptcy with them. Not that same number ultimately end up filing, but that's true regardless of the method of how they come to see us. What we've seen is through our pay-per-click marketing and working with you, the leads that we get are even more qualified and are better leads than some of the organic search engine optimization leads that we get otherwise. And so we're closing deals. We're having people reach out to us and contact us. They're well-qualified leads, and we're able to turn those leads then into clients who, of course, hopefully end up having successful bankruptcies.
Awesome. And then on average for your retainers, what would you say that is? Would it be like on the low end? Because we have a shared CRM where I see your assistant going in there and all the leads are automatically populating. You're getting these notifications right when the leads are coming in. But I'm seeing your assistant note these leads anywhere from like $1,500 up to like $5,000 or more, depending on how complicated a case would be. But is that typically what you have like as an average retainer?
Yeah, so our kind of if somebody it depends on the type of bankruptcy somebody's filing, but if they're doing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, we charge usually around 1995, 1995 to do a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. If it's kind of a standard run of the mill Chapter 7, if it's more complicated, we will increase those fees. Where if it's a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, and again, it depends on the district that they're in because I practice across multiple districts, but
Hmm.
those fees overall will end up ranging anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. And so you and I have talked about this a lot, but to me, kind of the buzzword that's the most important buzzword, and I tell my students this whenever I
Hmm.
talk to them about the importance of marketing, is it's return on investment,
Yeah,
right? I have no problem paying money, advertising, marketing, as long as I'm seeing that I am getting return on in that investment. I am seeing money come back into our pockets because of how we're spending that money. And what I really appreciate with how you do things and how we've done things these past 3 years is we can measure it, right?
exactly.
It's not just a, oh yeah, I think I see some emails coming in, or I'm getting some calls and my staff tells me that we're getting, a lot or not a lot. That's not terribly helpful to
Right.
somebody trying to run and practice and have a successful business. Instead, we can in much greater detail measure our success. We can see we're spending X, X turns into X times however many, whatever percentage it might be on that return on investment that we get.
Yeah, it's super important. I've worked with some clients in the past before working with me. They'll just base things off of feeling. You can't base things like marketing off of feeling. It has to be based off of real numbers. So I'm really glad to see we've gone from 6,000 a month up to 10,000 a month in terms of ad spend. And I'm so pleased to see the return on investment that we're getting from the campaigns, because as I'm looking at the CRM and I'm seeing all the leads come in, you guys have a very tight system, and you also understand too that when it comes to pay-per-click marketing, I can do my best to capture all that traffic and bring them to a landing page and get those people to call you, but then it's your guys' job to have systems in place to follow up. And I know on the weekends you're checking your email, you get the notifications the second they come in, and
That's
you
right.
respond right away with whatever the next step is. And if these leads don't respond to you, you add them to like an AWeber campaign or some type of follow-up nurture sequence in order to ultimately get these people to book their consultation with you. So that really is the ultimate goal.
That's right. We're very system and procedure based, right? And so, again, measuring things, knowing how much we're making, how we're making that money. Because again, where you spend your money, you could still see return on investment. If I was spending money on yellow pages, I might still make some money back, but I can make more money back if I spend it in a different way, like pay-per-click marketing, which is what we have found. But being able to measure that and then identify like, okay, if we spend X amount more, do we then make that much more? Or is it kind of do we hit a plateau? And so understanding how those things work and being able to balance that out has truly been helpful to us. But yes, like you said, Michelle, it, what you're doing on your end is half the battle. The other
Mhm.
half of the battle is what we do on our end. We have kind of policies and procedures built into what we do that when a lead does come in, having that lead sit there for a day or two or several hours even is not going to give us the best chance of success. So we've enacted ways so we can try to immediately capture those leads when they've come in, and we found that to be very successful.
I said this before on my YouTube channel, but I'll say it again. I help winners become bigger winners. And it's really hard to help someone that doesn't have good systems in place become a winner, because I can do my best to generate all the quality leads, but if they don't have a system in place, it just falls flat. You guys were already winning, getting some results, but then when I came into the picture and we started working very closely together, we are really amplified what you guys are doing and helping you guys win even more. So I'm super pleased to hear that,
Yeah,
the feedback.
like you had mentioned earlier, um, there's kind of this idea where, oh, we're just getting more calls versus knowing how many more calls we're getting. I think early on, when you first start practicing or you start using pay-per-click marketing or in advertising, things like that, you can get a gauge on is it successful or not by just that feel. Like, are we getting more calls? Are we getting more leads? Are we getting more email contacts? Things like that. But when you start really trying to figure out how you best want to spend your money, being able to target that down and kind of drill down on that and get more granular allows you to be an even better business person, a better marketer. And so that's what I really appreciate is I don't just have to think like, oh yeah, I'm getting lots of calls or I'm getting lots of contact form submissions. I can see I'm getting a call. That call then sets up a consult. That consult then retains us. They then retain us and then we file their case. And I can then chart from the beginning of the process all the way through to the end the path that that person took. And I can see and truly measure that return on investment and see it versus it just being some kind of ivory tower idea
Right.
that hey, maybe this will make us more money.
Right, exactly. And even in the CRM that we have, we can even see the people that may have stopped in like their communication with you after they had the consultation, they signed the contract, but then you require them to fill out a workbook. And maybe that's the hardest part is getting these people to actually take that next step to fill out the workbook. So there's a lot of people that are kind of stuck there. And then what do? We have nurture campaigns that are in place to get those people that are stuck in order to go to the next step. So that's really, really critical in terms
identifying
of.
those identifying those bottlenecks within your systems and procedures is very important. And again, using the platform that we've used with you, it helped us even more kind of specifically identify where within that path, where within that process are we seeing some bottleneck, and then what can we do to kind of degrease those gears, ease that transition in those transactions a little bit better. And so certainly been helpful that way as well.
Yeah, I think also too with pay-per-click advertising, any type of digital marketing these days, it's the fact that we can trace things all the way back and say, okay, this is how many leads we specifically, drove from this campaign. It's super powerful versus yellow pages or any other type of, marketing that's like old school. And on top of that, with pay-per-click advertising, the intent is very strong. When someone's looking for a bankruptcy, typically they're in kind of a panic mode. They're looking for answers. Maybe they have a foreclosure just in a week, sale date, and it's just something that they need answers to right away. So the fact that we can capture this hot, hot quality traffic and drive them over to your page and convert them. I'm so pleased to hear that. And I also, prior to this call, we in our last meeting, we also talked about the fact that you are very booked out in terms of your consultations to the point where you're looking even to hire for some more assistance. So it's a good problem to have. And hopefully, hopefully we can continue growing your law firm together.
Yeah, there's, as my father used to say, when attorneys would ask him how's business, he said, "There's always room for more, well-paying clients. We can always make more room," and that is always true. But we're very, very busy right now. It's a blessing. I don't take it lightly. I try not to complain about it too much, but we're very busy. We're trying to find ways that we can then have somebody to help, continue to grow the business like we've seen. And so we've been very lucky. We're blessed. We understand that we work really, really hard to to have those blessings, but also getting connected with people who do things the right way like you've done certainly helps in that process as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate you.